Okay, so will we see any resolve this season with that property?
I don't think so.
So do you look forward to settling this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit ridiculous at how long it's taken. I think he was an awesome dad when the kids were younger. He was really, really good. He was very present. He was very involved. I don't understand everything that's going on now and why it's so different. It doesn't feel like him.
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. Meri Brown has been on a circuit of interviews in the last couple days, speaking to a wide variety of media outlets. The clip you just saw was from her interview with Access Hollywood. In this video, I'll share with you a couple clips with her from a recent interview with Entertainment Tonight. Meri also sat down with the Today Show, and they had a digital interview with her that I will also be discussing. So obviously we've heard from Christine and Janelle, and we have yet to really hear from Kody and Robyn. I don't know if they'll be doing any of their own interviews. Meri's interviews, I would say overwhelmingly were pretty mellow. And if you're thinking she's going to be like nasty and mean or whatever, and it would appear that she's going to be taking the high road in regards to the situation and how it's ended. And I guess with where she's at, there's probably no reason to rehash everything and continue to sling mud when obviously you are personally removed from the situation at this point. But she addressed with Today a couple things, so I'll share with that with you. They asked her if she would ever consider moving back to Flagstaff or living on Coyote Pass, and she said no. No, Flagstaff was not a place that was ever on my radar to even move to. When the family brought it up, I was like, oh, there's a place called Flagstaff, Arizona. Okay, we'll go with it. So not having the family structures like we've had before, I'm not saying we're not a family because it's still a family. In Flagstaff, it doesn't make sense for me to be there. So she has no plans to move back. And the topic of Coyote Pass was brought up on Access Hollywood, and she said that the situation still isn't resolved. We know that. And she wishes it would be. She cited some issues they were having with getting a raw appraisal on raw land, which is kind of weird because you can get appraisals on land, but she said she had learned it became harder and that's why Kody was struggling with it. I don't know, just kind of felt like an excuse to me. But she said that she does hope to get married one day. In regards to how she keeps in touch with Kody, she said, I think we're cordial when we do see each other or when we need to talk. We have conversations, and I've actually enjoyed some of the conversations. The last time he and I had a conversation of any length or substance, it was good. I was able to call him out on a couple of things. He apologized about a couple of things. But as far as like, are we friends? Friends talk a lot more than he and I talk. So I don't know if you would categorize it as that. I honestly think that it's probably more like they're just like exes. You know what I mean? Do you still keep in touch with your former sister wives? I would say the same, cordial. I've had a little bit of communication with Janelle, probably more than anyone else. But then again, I've known Janelle longer than anyone else in my family. I knew her before I ever knew Kody. You know, I thought it was kind of interesting because if you know and you look back at the family, I was once married to Meri's brother, Adam, who passed away last year. And it was that relationship that kind of brought Janelle into the mix because Bonnie, Meri's mom, kind of converted her into the cult. And then she met and married Kody. But they always had such like a tenuous relationship. And so seeing them be more cordial, I think is good. I think there was always a capacity for them to at least be civil to each other. And it seems like that's kind of where they're at. She mentioned in one of her interviews recently that she and Janelle still sort of talk via text every once in a while. Meri also was asked about the final goodbye and how it was really confusing for her. And she said his emotion in that moment was really, really confusing. I didn't understand it. I think it just hit him. I think he didn't expect it to hit him. When I went through with that spiritual divorce earlier, he was like, why did you do it so fast? And I was like, well, why wouldn't I? I am personally of the belief that Kody just was trying to manipulate her, but that's just me. I think Meri just still wants to not view it as a manipulation tactic. And she was asked about Kody leading her on and what made her want to stay. And she said, the reason why I wanted to stay the whole time was because I had made a marriage commitment that I was committed to. Some might say now that I was never loyal, but obviously I was. I'm just saying because I stuck with it and I wanted to work through it and I figured it out. And that's where my commitment level was. So, asked about what her final straw was, she said conversations that he was finally willing to have with me. I know that he just was not having the conversation with me because he didn't want to deal with it. It was easier to set it aside. When we really started having conversations and he was actually honest with me to my face, which I deserve, things shifted. There are a lot of people who are like, why'd you stay so long? He was saying it to the world forever. It's like, yeah, he was, but I deserve to hear it. Maybe it was just a little bit of it. You're stuck with me until you say it to my face. So Kody was saying it on the show and she just wanted to be given the right conversation. Like she wanted to hear it. And I honestly think that's fair. I think one part of it that bothers me about the show is that because of the way that the family is set up with this cult and they're all afraid to like they all walk on eggshells and they're all afraid to offend each other. I don't know if it's because of the way that their indoctrination is or because they're always concerned about like it getting back to someone else or like it being taken wrong or that Cody's a narcissist. But it always has just frustrated me that the couch is this place where they're like spewing like verbal diarrhea about whatever they feel about each other. But then face to face, there's never anything that happens. Very few times, I guess we should say, things have gotten hostile. We do see Kody acting a little bit erratic in like several seasons for, the years up until they all left and how he behaved with like the knife in the kidney, yelling at Janelle in his fight. He and Meri never really had that kind of fight. There was never like this heated argument that took place on camera. And I think if you're just hearing him say crap on the show, how would you know he's not just saying it for dramatic effect for the show and then he's not telling you in your face? You know what I mean? Cody's skilled at manipulating things, if you know what I mean. So I think she was deserved that. In an interview with Us Weekly and in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, she was asked about her relationship with Christine. And this one kind of surprised me, but I guess not really. She was asked about where they stand. And she said that the relationship really is non-existent, that their lives are completely separated and they don't even have they're not crossing a lot of paths in any which way. And that she does miss the fact that she used to have a good friendship with Christine, but she also understands that that's not where Christine is and she wants to respect Christine's boundaries. And Christine said that she just really didn't want to have a relationship with her. She mentioned that one of the interviewers asked Meri about a statement that Christine had made and that she was proud of her and that she was standing up and sort of being brave to say the things that she has been. And Meri, being Meri, didn't like that Christine said that she was standing up to anything. She made clear that she was standing up for herself, not standing against anyone. Meri appears to not want to be in the feud between Christine, Janelle, and Kody and Robyn. She wants to be completely out of it. And she's been pretty clear, I don't hang out with them. I don't hang out with them. I'm me, and I'm not going to get in the middle of this. And I actually think that's smart for her, if I'm going to be honest. Why would you want to get in the middle of other people's issues, right? She did get asked about Robyn, and I'll show you that here.
To be a sister wife.
Yeah.
She wanted to have, this plural family, and I recognize that that's painful for her. Through the process, our friendship is not as close as it was, for sure.
Well, because essentially, when that relationship came about, that was like the end of everyone's.
Meri then elaborated that when it came to whether or not Robyn coming in actually was the catalyst for all of the relationships ending, she said that she didn't really see it in the beginning and she didn't feel that way because there was a period of time for a while that at least things seemed like they were okay between her and Kody. But I think on the most recent episode, you heard her say that once Kody and Robyn got together, he just really stopped caring about everyone else. And I think it's easier for all of us on the outside looking in to tell Meri, hey, Brett, here's the neon light that says this is what happened. And then when you're in the middle of something, it can be really hard to see that or accept that. And I think there might be a level, if I were in her position and I loved Kody and I thought that Robyn was a good person and that's I thought I had a good relationship with her, I still think it would be hard for me to accept the fact that this all fell apart because she was brought into the family. And it could also be partially because Meri was a catalyst to helping Robyn come into the family, right? Like she was always the driving force for new women coming into the fold. And so to acknowledge that like bringing Robyn in is what ultimately caused Kody and all the marriages to fail would mean that Meri was a part of that problem. And I wouldn't want to admit that if I were her, you know what I mean? And then she was asked about Robyn's really emotional response and the book that she gave her and what her response was and how she was so stoic about it and how Robyn really came in and was acting overly emotional about Meri leaving. And this is what Meri said.
It didn't surprise me that she was struggling with that. I just was in a place of, you know, this is a lot of pain for her, but I'm not in pain. I'm not in pain, and I'm not gonna let her draw pain out of me because she needs that from me, because I wasn't feeling it and I wasn't gonna give it to her.
Do you still have that?
You know what I really liked about Meri's answer is that she, in a couple of interviews, had said that she had been in therapy, and I think that's great. And when the way that she answered that question felt like she had been to therapy, because she had said that she could understand that Robyn was in pain, but she wasn't going to allow Robyn to draw that out of her. And she stopped short of what she was, I think, going to say, and that Robyn has used tears and emotion to manipulate Meri for a long time and has tried to play on her pain and her needs and promises that were made and play on emotions to get Meri to stay. You know, remember even last season at the last episode, she's trying to get Meri to remember that she wanted Meri to hang on with her, right? She was like desperate to get Meri to like, are you sure you want to do this, Meri? Are you sure this is what you want? She has throughout the years constantly been doing that to Meri. And when Meri just didn't respond to it and didn't react to it, it was almost a first where I felt like she was standing up for herself, but not being rude to Robyn. And I think that response is very clear. Like, I'm not going to let her do that to me anymore. I'm not going to be moved by that. If she's sad, that's on her and she has to work through that. And I know it's might seem callous to say that, you know, when you see a friend or whatever crying to make that kind of statement, but I can understand it because why should she feel sad that she's moving on when it's what she wants, right? And just because Robyn can't accept that, that's not Meri's fault because Robyn has what she wants and she actually had what Meri wanted for years. I told you about how she said that, you know, she doesn't stand for anyone. She's just standing up for herself when it comes to the situation with Christine. She also responded to this conversation about Christine and Janelle being very close. And I think it's interesting the way that she framed this.
A very good example of they just don't and now they do.
Yeah.
You know, because their relationship as sister wives was definitely not the relationship that they have.
Right.
Like I was there, I witnessed it, I saw and heard things that they said about each other, you know what I mean? And so the fact that they have been able to get past some of that stuff, and maybe it's just the conflict of being sister wives that they, you know.
But they still can.
Meri's right, though. I know everyone wants to say that Christine and Janelle always got along, but they really didn't. Not at all. Their kids were always super close, and Christine was always close to Janelle's kids, but the two of them absolutely did not get along a lot of the time. And she always felt like, Christine felt like Janelle was taking advantage of her, that she didn't, you know, listen to her. She was bossy. And Janelle thought that Christine was a princess and dramatic, you know, and when Christine had problems during the marriage, there was a lot of times where Janelle just was absolutely not empathetic whatsoever to her situation. I mean, when it came to moving and Coyote Pass and, you know, with her wanting to sell and considering moving to Utah, she was just like not interested. When it came to dividing the property, she didn't really care to think about what Christine wanted. There was just a lot of times where Janelle was incredibly aloof and very indifferent. And Christine was a lot more emotional and her needs were not being heard or met. And I'll just end this sort of video at this is like, as we're watching this all play out, we know it's a year and a half ago or whatever. And we also know that this hasn't even touched on Garrison's death yet. It's obvious that Christine and Janelle are never going to be super close because they don't live in the same place. Like, it's not possible. Janelle now is going to make her life in North Carolina. Christine is making her life in Utah. They're not going to be in the same place anymore. They will have children that still love each other, and they will still have a shared experience that they had together. But as time goes on, their lives are going to continue to go in separate directions. And if they didn't have the show, yes, their lives would overlap because of the kids, but I don't think they would see each other that often. I think they see each other more now because they have to because of the show. But I think if you removed the show from them, I don't think that they would be as close as they are. And I don't think they are as close as it seems, because when I watch them, Christine and Janelle, on camera together and in conversations, they still are so guarded with one another. Christine really has to monitor what she says, and she has to hold back. And Janelle gets so offended by Christine having an opinion that she doesn't like, or that she thinks that Christine is wanting to encourage her. The women all get really offended if one of the women wants to cheer them on, and they get offended like they're being told they're not strong enough, or they're settling for less. Like, they get really defensive about that. And Janelle gets very defensive like that. She doesn't like Christine cheering her on that way. That makes me sad, honestly. But on the flip side, I personally know from my own experience, and this is from a million years ago, but I had a boyfriend that was not a good fit for me, very abusive. And I had a friend sit me down and say to me, like, I don't think he's good for you. He doesn't treat you well. I don't like the way that he treats you. I think that you deserve better than this. And I got very defensive and I got very angry, because when you're not ready to hear that, you don't want to hear it, no matter who delivers the message. And I think until they're all both at that point where the defensiveness of their choices, and they've let go of the pain of it, I think they'll be able to maybe speak more cordially. But then there's also just going to be so many years of bad blood. And truthfully, when it comes to Christine and Meri, I just don't think that they can ever be friendly, because I think Christine is very sensitive to the way that Meri treated her kids. And quite honestly, I can't blame her for that. I think my only frustration with Meri is that there's never any questions with her about the kids. I'm sure it would be uncomfortable for Meri to have to address, but I also think it's just awful that there's these allegations that are out there that every outlet ignores. And they ignore it intentionally, because all of these interviews are fluff interviews, softball interviews for show promotion. They're not hard-hitting interviews. So maybe someday that'll get addressed when the show is over. I don't know. But Meri, I do think, is being honest here. I overwhelmingly thought she was direct and classy here. And I think she was pretty clear about Robyn, and that she's not going to be manipulated by her. And I did like hearing that, I like her realizing that she's not going to let that affect her anymore. And I think that shows growth. I also think it shows growth that she doesn't want to go toe to toe with the ladies anymore, and she doesn't want to fight with them anymore. That's great. So what are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.